Hey there, welcome back to Cynical Talks. Y'all, imagine that you're a chapter book and you are 22 chapters long. At some point in your life, you cross paths with somebody. Let's say that when they walk into your life, when they meet you for the first time, it was in your 15th chapter. Now you're an entire book. They only met you in chapter 15. They have no idea about who you are or what you walk through in chapters 1 through 14. Whatever they read in 15, it was enough for them to want to cross swords with you. In this deck, the Two of Swords, this is my Game of Thrones deck. In this deck, when somebody wants to cross swords with you, this is where they want to become an opponent. This is somebody who decided there's a problem and we are going to face off. This is a situation in your life where you may not have been able to easily resolve it. You kind of had to fix your posture, meaning you had to have a level of self-control when dealing with this person. So they're not in your life for chapters 1 and 14. They enter on the 15th. And whatever they read in chapter 15, they decide, I don't need to continue reading. I already know what's going to happen chapters 16 through 22. So they meet you in one chapter. They judge you in one chapter. But more importantly, this reading says that somebody spoke about you. We got the good old-fashioned sticks and stones. When somebody crosses swords with you, they are saying something about you or accusing you of being a sticks and stones type of abuser. When this card comes out, we're talking about physically abusive, somebody who just wants to fight. They want to use their fists, they're defensive, they got anger issues, they just won't back down. Now, this can be a persona or an archetype of this person that crosses swords with you, or this can be an accusation of who you are. Whatever happened in chapter 15, somebody could have described you as being abusive, won't back down, really defensive. Oh, this person has anger issues. Now, I have a card, and this talks about impossible only being a matter of opinion. In chapter 15, the way that Spirit set you up energetically, Spirit had already told you, listen, you need to be self-confident. You need to be proud of everything that you are and everything that you have endured. So in chapter 15, this is when you were supposed to stand strong. You were supposed to have your chest inflated. Your ego was supposed to be big. This may have been a time in your life where you never felt as good about yourself as you have in chapter 15. And this is when somebody wants to come in. And so when you're told to stand big and to stand strong and tall because of what you just went through in chapters 1 through 14, that's exactly what you do. So your posture is one of strength and confidence and courage. Somebody may have been offended that when they attempted to cross swords with you, the type of outcome they were really wanting, it would have been another version of you that maybe submitted or succumbed to some type of defeat. Somebody walks in your life and determines something about you and then wants you to assume a position that fixes or is in alignment with how they see you. Now, I got the card here for protection. Now, in this reading, there are a lot of natural things that exist on earth that you are being compared to. In chapter 15 of your life, the protection card is saying that in this chapter, you are supposed to be like a guardian oak. I'm talking about an oak tree. Now, at the time that I'm giving this reading, I have not yet created the thumbnail. And so I'm hoping to kind of create a thumbnail that has a human at a human size standing in front of an oak tree. And so when somebody sees you in chapter 15, they see you as a human, but they cannot see the silhouette of you. They cannot see that you are an oak tree. You are immovable. You can win anything. You can get through anything. You stand strong. And so you are a guardian oak. This reading says that from the smallest acorn, a powerful tree of enormous size can spring forth, and it can live for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's the energy. This is the characteristics. These are the traits that you are carrying. Now, in ancient times, it was said that the oak tree has a mystic doorway inside of it. And when you travel in this doorway, you have the ability to access inner worlds. This is true about you and your level of protection. Imagine having a panic room inside of your body. To be an oak tree, to be a guardian oak, this means that the level of knowledge and wisdom that you carry from ancient worlds, you can go with inside of self, almost like those eggs. You can go inside of yourself, and there are like different sizes, different versions, different worlds. They can act as a panic room, but these are mystic doorways. Traveling inside of you. None of this is seen in chapter 15 when someone crosses swords with you. You are a life force. You represent vitality. You represent strength. And you know what I read about an oak tree? That the roots are as deep in the ground as the branches reach above to the sky. And so however far the branches of an oak tree reach, that is equivalent to the depth that the roots dig or grow into the earth. The size of you cannot be perceived in one chapter. Even if somebody read you as an entire book from chapters 1 to 22, they still couldn't grasp your size. So this reading is about somebody who crosses swords with you, but you are in the process at all times of becoming your future self. So your future self is the version of you that's coming from all the work you're putting in. Every choice, every decision, and every action helps you become your future self. You are a series of choices, decisions, and actions. Y'all, somebody should have read the previous chapters, but also somebody should have continued the story. They put down the book too early. And the problem is that when this person put down the book, and they didn't continue reading you energetically or honestly, they started to reshape truth and reality. Now, who is this person? In this reading, we have a King of Swords. This could talk about somebody who carries the spirit of justice, legal decisions. This is about mind power, a decision maker, somebody who's highly strategic. But at times, if the strategy calls for ruthlessness, this is somebody who has no problem being ruthless. The worst thing about this spirit, based on this reading, is that this King of Swords likes to reshape truth and reality. And so I don't need to read. I don't need to know anything about who you used to be. I don't need to know what you've been through in chapters 1 through 14 of your life. I've read enough. I've seen enough. I've gathered enough information to surmise who you are. And so this is what happens. Now, it's called a King of Swords. It doesn't have to be a masculine, but I want you to think of a king or a queen of swords, at least in this reading. I'm getting the energy of like somebody who's like news anchorish. They're a know-it-all. But not only do they believe they know it all, they broadcast what they believe or what they want to be true. This is somebody who has to be careful not to cross the boundary between ambition and greed. And if I am greedy, that means I want more than I am due. And whatever I have to do, whatever I have to say, in order to get what I determine to be fulfillment, I will do that. Now, you take most things personally. This is a characteristic or a trait of this person. You take most things personally, meaning they take most things personally. So it says we often believe that everything happening around us means something about who we are, instead of understanding that people's behaviors are mostly a reflection of how they feel about themselves. So this is somebody that is very sensitive and very tender, but in a way that leans more towards negativity. So this is a Queen of Swords. At the time that this person starts to speak about you, at the time that they start to reshape the reality of who you are, they change the narrative of you based on one chapter. I have a card here that says one night stand. Now, when I read one night stand, either this person, like you literally had a one night stand, we could just take it very literally. This is the type of person, or this was an experience where you may have had a one night stand, a temporary good time, some type of single sexual encounter. So this may not have been a long-term relationship. This could have been non-committal, just a hookup or sexual gratification. This may have been a one night stand hookup kind of person. They come in for chapter 15, which is just a night, didn't even read the whole chapter. So this is a short experience. If it wasn't a one night stand type of sexual encounter, if you had to describe to somebody the type of relationship you had with this person, this is like a one-hit wonder, meaning when you look at your entire life, this was a blip. This was just a blip on the meter. It didn't last long. Now, this person could have also described you as a one-night stand, somebody who wasn't worth committing to. They could have said that you were only worth pulling certain things out, but the rest of you had no value. Whatever this King of Swords said about you, it was based on their greed. And because of the level of greed that they carry, they reshaped reality. They changed the narrative. They changed the truth. At the moment that this person starts to speak about you, you are carrying the energy of potential. I am saying that you were a volcano at rest. And so, yes, nothing on the surface of your life or your story in chapter 15, when this person read you, nothing looked like it was moving or active on the surface, which is as far as this person could have seen. If this is a one night stand, just the overall experience with them had no depth. So how can you have a moment or a blip in your life where it had no depth in this exchange? And somehow when they speak about you, they talk about the potential of you, not recognizing that you are dormant. Y'all, I found something and it talks about spiritual geology. And it says, just like the earth, a person's inner world, it can have periods of quiet. So when you met this King of Swords, you were going through a period of quiet. This is formative growth. This is where new knowledge and new awareness are developing in the depths of yourself. Meaning, after you go through this phase, you are going to experience new life, but also creation. But the new life and the creation that you experience, it comes from destruction. And so maybe you were in a season, you know how we just got an ugly phase. And I don't say ugly to be ugly, but I'm saying that there are many versions of us, and they are not all equally attractive aesthetically. There are some years where we really love the way we look. We love the way we feel. We love the things we have. And then there are those other seasons where we're transitioning, we're transforming. And it's kind of like an ugly phase. It kind of feels ugly. It looks ugly, like it's just not pretty. And that's not to judge. It's just to kind of put ourselves up to some type of scale. But somebody caught you in an off season. But they defined you as the off season without reading the chapters before and without staying long enough in order to see what comes next. The truth about who you are, meaning what was happening inside when you were this oak tree and you go through a mystic doorway inside of you and you tap into the ancient wisdom, or when you are this volcano at rest. What's growing? What's the awareness? What's the knowledge? You are a materialization of light, meaning you are a walking, breathing, higher evolutionary thought form. None of this could be perceived by this King of Swords. They didn't have the eyes to see. And honestly, people like this aren't supposed to see you. If you meet somebody during a season of rest, when all of your growth is really happening internal, that means that they were supposed to see you and cross paths with you in that exact way. That is how the story was always written. Now, in order for you to be walking, breathing light, like the codes, the evolutionary thought forms, they're higher evolutionary, meaning when you speak, when you think, when you communicate, it is supposed to evolve people to a higher level of consciousness. That is the light. That is the responsibility of the light that you have in you. That is what was developing. Now, when the King of Swords starts to talk about you, when you have this one night stand type of experience, this is when you were a volcano at rest. But as soon as the light inside of you was finished materializing, you were supposed to be free, meaning you hadn't yet gotten your wings. When this volcano erupts, you have wings. But you were in your hermit era. You were reading, you were researching, you were journaling, you were contemplating your life. Nonetheless, you were calling or following your call to truth. Something that may have been said about you is that you were so afraid of the future that you refused to act. If we're afraid of the future, that means that our past was probably full of grief, resentment, difficulties. We forget things. We've had to overcome a lot of wounds. We've had to overcome a lot of scars from our past. And unfortunately, when the past is so hurtful and painful, we're like, I don't even want to know what the future has. This could have been a narrative that was created for you, but remember, you were dormant. You weren't yet given the assignment to fly, to set yourself free. When you carry the higher evolutionary thought forms, the purpose of that type of light is freedom. Meaning, you are supposed to express yourself without hesitation. You are given the go-ahead to go beyond predictable behavior. This means that you have the ability to choose life on your own terms. This is the parameter of the light that you carry. None of that can be seen or perceived by anybody that doesn't carry the level of light that you do. And obviously, if this King of Swords is taking things personal, if they're speaking about you, if this is somebody who naturally invites themselves, this is like somebody who wants to cross swords with you. But like they want to, like they invite themselves, almost like, can I just please be your opponent? Can I just please be vexed with you? Like this was the only outcome of this exchange. This was the only narrative. Towards the end of this reading, they're described as a Machiavellian character, and cynicism being one of their key traits. When we say that somebody is cynical, we're saying that this is a type of person who tends to have a negative view of human nature. Now, we've already described you as being a materialization. You are a person, you are a part of the people of light. But somebody just naturally is cynical. They have a negative view of human nature. They believe that most people are selfish and untrustworthy. And so because of what this person believes about most people, they put you in that category and then speak about you in a certain way. But something they said about your energy, your story, either in the past or what's to come, they couldn't see your future self. They couldn't see the wholeness of your book, of your novel. This person was cynical, but right now this reading says that lies are unraveling. Truths are being revealed. Lies are exposed. Karma is working. Karma is literally just going to pay you back anything that you charged. Karma is like a tab. You go to a bar, you order drinks, you say, put it on my tab, almost like I'll pay later. Let me just enjoy myself. And before I go home, I'll close out my tab. I'll pay for everything I consume. Sometimes you got to throw in a tip, gratuity, right? Sometimes karma is going to require you to give back a little more than even you think you took. That is the season that this King of Swords type of person is. Whoever this news anchor is, whoever this broadcaster, this is mouth and mind almighty. A king or a queen of swords, their greatest element, the thing that they prioritize the most is information, talking, communication. It's the element of air, knowledge and wisdom. But these are people that will literally make truth what they want to make it, as long as it affords them with some type of gain. And so the lies that were spoken about you are unraveling. This is the King of Swords versus the Hermit. You're coming out as the Hermit. This person could have said that you are somebody of false promises. You break trust. You're disappointing. You commit to things, but you don't complete the things you commit to. But in your hermit era, sometimes the following of your own truth takes you down a path that you didn't know existed. And so when you are supposed to be free, when you are supposed to get your wings and fly, that comes at a specific moment in time. And because you may not have been moving or flying or taking flight based on how somebody else thought you should, they just said you were too scared to act. You have the potential to be free, but you're going to stay stuck forever. Like that's the type of thing that somebody would have said. And so in this season, the lies are unraveling. Now, I have the card for the Page of Coins. When we're thinking about coins and we apply it to the court cards, the Page, the Knight, the King and the Queen, I want you to think about a business. When you're first starting a business, it's just a page. And then you grow it, you mature it, it gets to reach to a certain level of stability, and now it becomes a knight. It's not yet the king. It's not yet the queen. When it's finally the king or the queen, that means it has legs. Like it can sustain itself over seasons, meaning your business can go through the ups and downs and it's not going to fall apart. And so either this King of Swords was supposed to have an opportunity with you as the Hermit. And so maybe somebody spoke about, I don't know how you cross paths with this person, but when the Page of Coins comes out, this is talking about an income opportunity. Like you haven't really built it. You haven't grown it. It's kind of just an opportunity. It's something that has the potential to grow, but it's only the page. So it's very young. Time is money. I don't know if you were supposed to make money. I don't know if this was about an opportunity that really barely got off of the ground. This could have been some type of income between a project or a new job. Maybe this is how you cross paths with this King of Swords. Now, this could also be a situation where somebody works with you, but then you separate prematurely. And then when people ask about you, when people ask about the Page of Coins, what happened to the new job? What happened to the new business? What happened to that new project? What happened to that person you were working with? And then somebody says, oh, they have the potential, but they won't get free. They have the potential, but they're afraid. They have the potential, but they're non-committal. And so whatever was said about you, it was spoken over a volcano when it was at rest. It was spoken over somebody who has the spirit of a guardian oak, which means it may appear that I am not home, but I have just gone into a mystic doorway inside of myself that has taken me to ancient wisdom and knowledge. The lies are unraveling. I have the energy of it is time to banish all evil. Some of the things that were spoken about you are evil. This is the energy of the waning moon. This is about a symbolic death and resurrection. One of the things that you may have been told is to walk away, to banish this situation, and to get out of this slowly. Now, let me say, somebody says, you know what? You got the potential to fly, but you'll never get wings. You got the potential to be free, but you're always going to be still. And so at some point in this reading, when they were talking about stillness, imagine that somebody says that your life looks like a swamp land. I want you to think about being in a swamp, and I want you to think about quicksand. Very similar. The worst thing you want to do when standing or attempting to free yourself from that type of environment is to struggle. The situation about you that you were going through when this person entered chapter 15, this may have been an ugly phase, but the way you get out of an ugly phase, it doesn't have to be a struggle. In this reading, the stillness card says, listen, if you are a swampland, on the surface of this swamp, nothing is moving. Things are going to look like they're not progressing. But you don't struggle when you're in the mud. You have to move very careful. You have to move very slowly. You take one step at a time. And so on the surface, it looked like nothing was moving. This is a lie that is unraveling. And so now, listen, you could be in chapter 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't know what chapter you're writing now. But these are the chapters that somebody had already written for you. These are the chapters that somebody had already spoken as being true or as being a reality based on what was in their mind. And so if your chapters are being read by other people, they're going back to this King of Swords and saying, hey, what you said was a lie. This is what I'm reading. This person just had to go through a season where they had to banish evil. They needed to be a swamp. They needed to appear as if nothing was happening. But on the surface, they were methodical. They were meticulous and calculated. They were getting unstuck. But there are certain situations where you get unstuck and it cannot be a struggle. To struggle would make it worse. Y'all, that is the reading. I wanted to say something else about when the waning moon comes out, whatever is happening now, whatever chapter this is that involves the things, the lies that were spoken about you, this chapter is final. This is the closing out of cycles, meaning whatever happens next, none of the things that leave your life were ever going to feed you or be beneficial to you again. Sometimes people have to talk themselves out of your book. Meaning everybody is not supposed to be a character in every one of your chapters. Just because this type of person is here in your story in chapter 15, it doesn't mean that they are written in 17 and 18. And one of the ways that this person has to finish their time in your book is they have to lie themselves. They have to talk themselves out of your story. And whatever they said about you is going to be so far from the truth that it will reveal that they were never really written in anyway. This is almost like free marketing. Somebody has just talked about you so horribly that when people come back and check and you look like nothing that they said, they have literally given you a 5-star review and thought that they were dragging you the entire time. Y'all, these are backwards blessings, okay? So, King of Swords type of spirit, but this is what you were up against, but this is not something that you struggled with. This is not something that you really fought through. You allowed yourself to be the oak, which means you understood that this was a relationship or a connection where your protection and your posture mattered. I need to be in self-control. And then you just kind of went into this inner chamber. And when you come out, you look nothing like the words that were spoken. You are your future self, right? But not everybody's supposed to read you right. And sometimes that's a blessing. And so crossing swords with you is probably the worst thing that this person could have chosen or done, but they sure didn't. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.